When people first get into Scotch, one of the most confusing things they see on a bottle is the wording. You'll see terms like single malt, blended malt, and sometimes single cask. And they all sound like they mean the same thing, but they don't. Understanding this is one of the easiest ways to understand whiskey better. I'm Mike, and welcome back to Scotch 101. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Let's start with the big one. Single malt Scotch. A single malt means two very specific things. First, it comes from one distillery only. Second, it's made using 100% malted barley. It does not mean one barrel, one batch, or even one age. In fact, most single malts are actually blends of many different casks from the same distillery. So when you pick up something like a Glenallachie 12, a Macallan 12, or a Lagavulin 12, you're drinking a carefully crafted combination of multiple casks, all from the same distillery. That's what the distillers are aiming for. This helps to create consistency and balance. Now let's talk about blended malt Scotch. This is where people can get confused. A blended malt is a mix of single malts from multiple distilleries. It is still 100% malted barley and there's still no grain whiskey, but instead of one distillery, it's a blend across different distilleries. Think of it like this. Single malt equals one distillery, blended malt equals multiple distilleries. Blended malts allow whiskey makers to combine different distillery styles into one product. So for instance, one distillery might be known for their fruitiness. Another might bring smoke to the table. Another could add maybe richness or spice. When done well, the result can be incredibly complex. One example of this would be compass box releases. They're often underrated and can offer serious value for the money. Now, don't confuse blended malt with blended Scotch. They're not the same. Blended Scotch includes malt whiskey and grain whiskey. Blended malt contains only malt whiskey. That's a key distinction. Now let's layer in another term, single cask. Single cask means the whiskey comes from one individual barrel, not multiple casks blended together. This can apply to single malt or very rarely in a blended malt, but most commonly you'll see it with single malts. Here's what is unique about a single cask. Every barrel matures differently. Even if two casks are filled on the same day with the same spirit and stored in the same warehouse, they can absolutely taste different years later. So a single cask bottling is unique, limited, and often not repeatable. Once it's gone, it's gone. Typically, you might see anywhere from 350 barrel or 300 out of one barrel, 350 bottles, up to sometimes 700 bottles. Okay, here's another tidbit of information. Most single malts are made from multiple casks. So single malt is about where it's made. Single cask is about how many bottles are used. You can have both at the same time. A whiskey can be a single malt and a single cask, meaning one distillery, one barrel. That's usually where things get really interesting for enthusiasts. So how can this help you on your journey? The labels tell you what to expect. Single malt, more consistent. Signature distillery style. Blended malt, more creative, potentially more complex combinations. Single cask, more unique, sometimes more intense or unusual. So, final thoughts? If you remember nothing else, remember this. Single malt equals one distillery. Blended malt equals multiple distilleries. Single cask is one barrel. Once you understand that, reading a Scotch label becomes a lot easier and you can start buying whiskey that suits your taste. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe below for more. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike, and this has been Dram Street 101.